And welcome back, students. We are working now on that final screen size. So if you remember here, we have a layout that looks like this, and I got us to the point where we now need to just get this large screen size. There is a trick that we're going to use to kind of help us, because we got a lot of floats floating around right now. So the trick we're going to use is something called clear. Now, clear is very similar to float in how we can stack stuff up with it. The issue is, of course, right now we have everything floating. So it's like boom, 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 boom. Oh, it's going here, and then here, and then here, and then oh wait, this is not wide enough, so I'm just going to push here. So that's kind of the issue that we have going on right now. So what I'm going to do to help make sure the stuff's going down is I'm going to add the clear command, and I'm going to say clear left for the nav, and I'm going to add to the splash image a clear right. And if I refresh, you can see these are now side by side. So we've now accomplished making it stay with that structural layout we want to have. So these are no longer floating. Of course, we got to take care of, like, our banner is not all the way we want it to be. So let's look at our banner here. We have a width 100%. If I set that width to, let's say, 200%, boom, problem solved. So now that banner is floating off into, wherever it needs to go. But we probably want, like, if we say a max width. All right, and of course now you can see it's been constricted. So that's sometimes some things we have to watch out for when we work with that. All right, and so now we have a web page that looks a lot nicer. And if I stretch this out, you can see those elements are now filling. Of course, you can see that the width ran out when I got to bigger screen size here. So we do have a little bit of tidying up to do. So for example, I want to make sure that this here doesn't exceed this point here. So let's look at the logo. So our logo is 50%, the banner is 50%. So we may want to just, on that navigation, okay, we have a max width of 25%. If we make that width 25% straight, that didn't really help anything. And you can see now we have a duplicate property found. All right. So let's take out the width 100% here. See, didn't even help us here. So I'm going to take that out, change this back to max width 25%. And we're going to change this, let's say, down to 15. There it is. So now it doesn't overlap with that banner there. And the thing we have to double check is how does that look on other screen sizes. So if I just kind of banner that along, you can see that the issue that we run into is we do have, see, this is where I should convert. So we do have a gap there that has to be filled. So this is just little things that you would have to tinker around with to try and get your web page to look perfect. Now, the thing that we do want to do, of course, is real quickly, I'm going to show you how to fix this banner here. And then, of course, we'll add in our two articles that are going to go along with in here. Now, one thing I also am going to add is right here, you can see these elements are pretty much side by side. That's a really quick, easy thing to do. It's just simply to add a margin between those two pieces here. So right after the splash image, we're just going to add a margin. And because that's on the left side of the image, we're just do a margin on the left, so I don't have to worry about messing with all their stuff. And I'm going to do, let's say, 5 EM. If I refresh that, you can see now there's a gap here between the navigation and this guy. And I'm going to change this here to 18%, just to make that a little more consistent. A little too much, 16. Okay, perfect. So now, of course, we have our banner image. We have this. Life is looking golden for our web page. So I'm just going to go real quickly. On the home page, this is all I need. All right. Now on the about page and stuff like that, if I go to my source code, you can see we have our article, its footer, blank. All right, there's nothing in them, right? The only thing that changes is those pieces. So the article, I'm just going to go ahead here real quick. I'm just going to put in some sample text. So this is an article. You can always use the filler text. So you can use those options as well. So like I can insert article here, and you can see it puts it right in. But I'm just going to go ahead and just put in some photo text. So some filler text. Doesn't really matter, just as long as we have it there. And of course our footer, this will have our copyright information, so I'm just going to put in here in a paragraph tag, I'm just going to say copyright, and we're going to say, you can put the year if you want, 20, whatever the year it is, or if you don't have the year in there, you can just say copyright, and since this is thumbs up, we're going to say thumbs up incorporated. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the footer and article information over to my other pages here. Okay, now here's kind of the caveat. So on the home page, you guys wonder, do I necessarily need that information? Probably not. I will need the footer information. All right, so I'm going to actually just delete the article. Okay, so that is off because I maybe just want the splash image, and then people can navigate from there. On the about page, I may only need, so this will contain company information, and you may not want the splash image. So then we're just going to come in here. Oh, there's the splash image right here. I'm just going to come in, delete that out. Perfect. Okay. And then, of course, I could write a quick piece up. Thumbs Up Inc. is a non-profit dedicated to promoting happiness. Something simple like that, okay? So there it is. And I'm going to go to my careers page. Now, this one, of course, this could be my different careers. So I may not have that splash image again. So I'm just going to go and take the splash image out. But I might have, let's say, 2 job postings here. So this might be, let's say, a H2 I'm going to do. And this is, let's say, administrative assistant. And the paragraph tag might say, like, please apply at, and then you put some email address, or you'll have a form or something like that. And then this other one might be something similar. And this might say something like custodian, for example. All right, and then please apply it. Okay, so now we have our pages are starting to look great. One thing we do want to deal with, though, as we start putting this content in here, is you'll notice that, let me just kind of bring the screen down here. All right, this is, of course, the home page right here. So thumbs up, copyright thumbs up Inc. is at the bottom. That is important. You want your copyright information to pretty much always stay at the bottom. Now, one thing you'll see is that it's not at the bottom, kind of in some of these bigger web pages, because it gets pushed up near the top. All right, and so we're going to handle that pretty quickly here. So we're going to go back into our CSS. This is where a lot of that stuff happens. And I'm going to go right here before my elements for all the different web pages. I want to make sure that that CSS for the footer is always kind of keeping its position relative to the bottom of the page. All right, so I want it so it's pretty much always being pushed to the relative bottom position. So if I refresh, okay, it looks like it's at the bottom. All right, it's still kind of trying to maintain it there because we haven't really done anything to push it down. All right, so what do we need to add? So we have a position in there. Now we could do like a position absolute, for example, which will, of course, keep it to the bottom of our web page. But you can see it doesn't always put it where we want it to be. So here, it kind of made it near the top of our web page, which is not what we want it to do. Because if you look at the position, those are options that are there. We can use, there's a bottom command, and you can just say like auto, and you got a whole bunch of different things here. So let's actually go ahead and add that. All right, so this is once again where our friend, the clear command, is going to come in handy. So I'm going to say clear, I'm going to do both, and let's change this back to our relative that we had before. And you can see that we again have it looking like it's at the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and stretch this out. Let's just full screen it. And there it is. Copyright thumbs up ink. Beautiful. All right. So that is taken care of. Now there's one other thing I wanted to kind of take care of in this video that's going to kind of help us with some of our sizing issues. And that is to set a max width on the entire web page. Now, up to this point, of course, we have our wrapper, which is a background color of cornflower blue, which is great. And of course, we end up with this like kind of like white border here on the edging. So what I'm going to do real quick here outside of that wrapper, so let's just go before that, I'm just going to set the body, and I'm going to give that a background color so we can kind of differentiate that. And I want that to be a super light blue. So I say like light blue. Okay, so there's my body there, right? Now that kind of helps me differentiate. Okay, there's the wrapper, there's the body. So that way when I am working with this in different screen sizes, you can see exactly where the wrapper is, you can see exactly where the body is. Now, of course, we could leave that white. It's perfectly up to you how you handle it. I could make that black even if I just wanted to, like, you know, have it feel like it's in the void there. It's whatever color we ultimately chose. I could just make it white. I could make it like any color I want there. So if I do like a blue, if I want to keep it that blue spectrum, light blue is available as an option. I always like to kind of give it something not quite as white. So like this light steel blue is a nice color there. It's not quite as blue as the light blue is, so it kind of tones it down just a little bit. And it lets us kind of differentiate where the wrapper is, where all our content is, and this. Now, the thing that we have to keep in mind is, like, remember right here, we get these big screens. The issue that we're running into is that content is sprawling all over the page. So I have my banner right here, and it stops. And a lot of times when you see bigger screen web pages, it doesn't matter about the wrapper size as much, because content is just spilling out all over the place and it's everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into our wrapper and set a max width, so that way our web page is kind of restricted in how big we have it. So I could say, for example, my max width is 70%. So only 70% of the web page is going to be displayed. Now you can see it shrinks that in. Now it didn't quite grab my banner here, but did put that in. Now I'm going to also go ahead, and if I want that to be more centered, I can add a margin into there. So let's say margin left. I could say like 5%, and margin right 5%. So now that right there adds those pieces in there. So I have a 5% margin here, 5% margin here. If I bump this up to 75, it's a little bit better. We can also, of course, add padding commands in. So I could say a padding left, and let's say 5%, padding right 5%. There you go. So now we have the padding command in there as well. You can see this is all coming in kind of nicely. The only issue is, of course, now you can see that this element right here has been pushed over. So my left padding, I may not want 5%. I may only want, let's say, 1%. Okay. Now, of course, again, well, that white space over there, so I might want to increase my left. So let's make that like 7%. Okay, maybe a little more. Let's try 8. There we go. That looks a little bit closer. 9. There. That looks pretty decent. But we're just going to bump up to full 10%. All right, so we got 10%. Looks good there. Obviously, we'll have to check this out for different screen sizes and make sure everything looks still golden. Now, the only thing is, you start doing this is, even though we've kind of made this all look nice and pretty, the issue that we ran into now is that, you know, we may have to go through and resize some of our HTML structures here. which is not the end of the world. It's simply just a matter of coming in here and adjusting some of these values. But the one thing that we do have to watch out for, though, is that we aren't restricting how our pages get displayed now, because you see now that we have this max width property, sometimes we do get other weird behaviors that can occur with inside of this. So if I change this from a max width to, let's just say, width, we still can get that kind of that weird behavior, and simply because we set that property in there. Now, the way we can fix that is we go into these other screen sizes and we overwrite the wrapper element here, and we're just going to set the max width to 100. All right, so if I refresh, all right, max width 100, and pretty much we want to overwrite all this stuff here. So we're going to the margin and paddings on those elements. So margin none, you can say, and padding none. So if I refresh, easier way to do it, of course, just put 0. There we go. So that's back to kind of like how we used to have it. Still might have some issues to work through just to resize it. But that's an easy, quick and easy way to do that. Of course, remember this is only one screen size that I've done that for. So if I copy that, go to these other pieces here. And I think we might have to add it to this one too. Let's see here. So refresh. So that's a small one. Boom, that one looks golden. So this one we might have to resize to do like the big screen size. Looks great, but that middle one might have to do some work with. Paste that in. Refresh. Boom. That looks a lot better. All right, so these are just little things that you got to kind of think about when you're designing responsive websites. Because like here, I want it to be more mobile friendly. Here, okay, looks good. Still looks good. Of course, I might have to play around with some of these elements to kind of get everything to stack up the way I want it to. And I can add, for example, like this kind of in-between size, I can add more media queries. So if I wanted to target this weird screen size right here, between like right here and before it gets to the full screen, I could do that. I could write another media query because this right here, when we jump to right here, is of course that large screen size. And so only in the large screen size am I having this like big jump. So I could target this area right here and clean that up. All right, now, again, we've gotten a lot of that done. So if I go to About the Company, you can see there's the article there. Here's my career opportunities. That looks good there. Only things I might have to put a little bit of cushion between this text and this right here. So next time we come in for our next video, we'll kind of tidy things up a little bit. And then we'll get ready to add the responsiveness to our menus, because ideally we want this menu to be, when I click this, it can toggle up and down. Obviously, if it doesn't, it's fine too. But it'd be cool is if, especially like, for example, when you're in mobile, is if this was collapsed and then when you click it, it would open and then have responsiveness from there. But if we can't get it, not the end of the world. Just means we might have to dive into a little JavaScript or jQuery in order to make that happen. All right. But we've done a lot of progress. Our website's looking really great right now. And I will see you next time.